All right. Happy Friday, everybody. I have no idea who's going to join in. It's a rather nice day outside, and I can't imagine too many people are sitting on their Facebook right now. But if you are, welcome. It's nice to see you, even though I can't see you. I tried to fix my angle of my camera here, but I can't get it to stay. Maybe I can. I'm going to get that side of the camera lifted up a bit higher. That looks a little better. So anyway, yeah, happy Friday, everybody. At least in Wisconsin, it's finally over 40 degrees, like all day for the first time, except for a couple days of an exception. Yeah, so unlike a lot of people who spend their tax return on probably computer stuff or video games or I don't know what people do spend their tax returns on, but I spent mine on books, or some of mine on books. Actually, not that much. The reason I wanted to buy these is because they're on sale, like half off of the regular listed price on Amazon, and I thought that was something I ought to take advantage of, just because I've been reading through. I wonder if this will be reversed. It looks like it probably will. I wonder if I can fix that. I might not be able to fix that, but anyways, that's, as you're seeing it backward, the regular traditional paperback Eye of the World, the first book in the Wheel of Time series. This is one I borrowed from a friend. If you're watching, you know who you are. Thank you. I am that far through it, so I'm closer to the end than the beginning. Finally, I'm in starting chapter 33, but there's like 50 some chapters in here. Anyway, this is what it normally looks like. It's full art that wraps all the way around. As you can see, this particular copy's rather old and pretty beat up, but I don't know, its listed price was only $5.99 whenever it was printed. That's US. Canada was a little higher. Let's see, the first edition was $19.90. First mass market edition was also $19.90, just much later in the year. I wonder if this issue, or this edition here, is actually almost 32 years old then. Yeah, because I don't see a separate copyright for this edition. But yeah, if this is actually that old, this is an extremely old issuing. I don't know. Extremely old printing, because it's as old as I am. Tiny bit younger, just by a couple months maybe. Because I was born in 1990 as well. So anyway, this is what they used to look like. Amazon has bought the rights to make a TV show. I've talked about it a lot before, and whoever sees this, if you have no idea who I am or anything that I've been talking about, I watched the Wheel of Time series on Amazon, and I quite enjoyed it. It's one of the few times I feel like a TV show got better every single episode, except for maybe the last one or two. But the first episode wasn't actually that great. My cat's going to join us. He may or may not jump on me. My dog is also going to join us. Walk into the room. Hello. I can't shut the door to this room because it's a very old door and is broken. There's door handles, but there's no latch to actually shut it. But I can push it shut a little more to minimize distractions. But anyway, because Amazon invested a lot of money, I'm going to try to stop shaking my camera as much. Amazon put a lot of money into adapting the series. The first time it was successfully adapted beyond just a pilot, and I think it did pretty well. I think it was one of the top streamed, at least on Amazon, if not one of the top streamed overall for last year when it came out. It's mostly an adaptation of the first book, The Eye of the World, the one that I was just showing you. So with that increase in interest that Amazon generated by making their own adaptation. They probably had something to do with the production of this specific box set. I believe they're being sold in sets of 3, which with probably a set of 2 at the end, I'm going to guess, because there's 14 Wheel of Time books and they're not divisible. 14 is not divisible by 3. So I'm counting that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, 14 would have to be a two-piece set. But anyway, this is an unboxing. So, assuming my cat doesn't jump on me, and he's trying to, I'm going to open up the box, or at least show it off. The box itself that I ordered the first 2 sets in, just a standard Amazon box I've already opened because I wanted to take a picture of it to kind of say on Instagram that I would end up talking about it. You can see Jack in the background there. He's trying to sneak around on a side desk like a little cat ninja. Just taking these boxes out so I can show things off a little more clearly. Alright. So for nope, you have to get off this table. You can't go on this table. No. No. Get off. No. No. Jack. Get off. Jeez. Anyway. Wheel of Time. Box set number 1. Looks like this. And again, I wish I could reverse the way my camera is looking at things so it's not flipped, or it's not, mirrored. But for some reason, Facebook Live likes to do that. I know even when I do it on my PC, this is my phone right now, but when I do it on my PC, it still mirrors things. Twitch doesn't. Twitch is kind of superior in every way, I'm finding out, and it's kind of annoying that Facebook won't just get a clue about it. But yeah, originally published by Tor Fantasy, and still published by Tor. You can see the spines of these 3. The first 3 books are The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, and The Dragon Reborn. All 3 by Robert Jordan. I know the last 3 books in the series, I think it's 3, are written by Brandon Sanderson because Robert Jordan had passed away. I should probably show this. Hopefully I can upload this mirrored later on in the future. But that's what it looks like all backwards. Is definitely a indication for the Prime Video. The Prime Video version, or the, what am I saying? The Prime Video adaptation of the series advertised right on the box. Box set 1, Robert Jordan. Number 1 New York Times best-selling series, Eye of the World, Great Hunt, and Dragon Reborn. This would have come out 6 years before A Game of Thrones, or the Game of Thrones. A Game of Thrones is the HBO series. The Game of Thrones is the first book in A Song of Ice and Fire. Also on this side, I'll read this back out. That's my Glade sprayer interrupting me. It says, The Wheel of Time boxed set 1. Jordan has come to dominate the world Tolkien began to reveal. New York Times. And then the blurb on the side says, The Wheel of Time turns and ages come and pass. What was, what will be, and what is may yet fall under the shadow. Let the dragon ride again on the winds of time. Very nicely done. Charlie? No. Nothing to bark at. What are you doing? So, I'm going to open this up, assuming my dog doesn't keep barking at things that aren't there, which she likes to do. Sorry, my camera is really shaky. This is not a super stable setup, but it gets it to the right height, which is what I need. Regular cellophane cover on here. This is all paperback, if people are wondering, but you'll see that here in a second. Pull out the Eye of the World first. Immediately noticing one thing is the front here is embossed or pressed, whatever you want to call it, where it's outdented instead of indented. Yeah, Robert Jordan, the #1 New York Times best-selling series, The Eye of the World, The Wheel of Time, Book 1, soon to be an original series on Prime Video. So this was actually commissioned probably before. Well, it was definitely done before. By the way, it says that before the series aired on Prime. That same quote that was on the side is on the back here. The same quote about Tolkien beginning to reveal fantasy. And then it also says, his huge, ambitious Wheel of Time series helped redefine the genre. That is a quote from George R.R. Martin, listed as internationally best-selling author of Game of Thrones. And it's got a list of the names of all the books. The barcode says cover art is by Sam Weber. And the standard, contact information does say it was printed in the USA, which I don't know how common that is anymore. I think most Amazon books are printed in the USA, but this is still Tor. So Tom Doherty's own stuff. But yeah, it's a pretty thick book, if you can see that. The other two of the first three are thinner. And even compared to the older mass market, it's thicker. Actually, this might not even be... No, it doesn't look like it's a mass market size, if you look at that by comparison. This is probably a trade paperback. That's what you'd consider it. Might be acid-free paper, so it won't yellow like that. That's what time will do to paper treated with acid. Let me see if I can find something more to that effect in here. So this is says copyright 2002. That might have been ownership of Tor changing or something, because it is not the same company. Copyright found in the original. That's unusual to me. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Yeah, the original says copyright 1990 by Robert Jordan. This says copyright 1990 by Bandersnatch Group Incorporated, which might be like the holdings company for his estate or something. Let's see here. First premium mass market edition, November 2019. So that's probably what this is. That being said, I think this actually was printed in 1990. This one here, it said the first mass market printing was in November of 1990. And this version here, it's calling it premium mass market because it doesn't... It's a nice quality, but it's definitely a taller version of the book. I didn't actually compare the width yet. It's the same width, though. I don't know how easy that is to see, but it's roughly the same width. And I don't know. It's a brand new, perfect bound book, and it's a rare thing. It feels like I don't buy a lot of new books. I buy a lot of used ones usually. So feeling it that solid and that flat, unlike the curve that you usually get over time in a mass market paperback, it's kind of has a sort of, I don't know, level of mystique to it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I have no idea if anyone else feels the same way. But yeah, November 2019, 29 years later after the original paperback version, this version was released. Oof. The typesetting is crowded, I'll tell you that. I'm not sure I like it a whole lot, but it's... Is there new stuff in here? The prologue is different. Or there is a difference between the old paperback and the new paperback. Because, like, you get to the end of the table of contents here. I'm trying not to bend the spine too much. Then you get a title page that says The Eye of the World. And you turn, and it says Earlier Ravens. And it's got some raven images, which look familiar. But the original, the old version, immediately after the table of contents. The next side of the book goes to the prologue. The facing page goes right to the prologue. So that's very unusual. I love the prologue to the Wheel of Time. It's fascinating. And then it goes to a map. And then it goes to chapter 1, An Empty Road. That's strange. Don't bark at anything, okay? My dog's looking out the window again. So, to compare, there's front matter to Harriet, Heart of My Life, Heart of My Heart, Light of My Life, Forever. And then the contents, Eye of the World title page. It says Earlier Ravens. This must have been added later. And this is actually quite long. What is this? That's 25 pages of extra stuff. And then it gets to the prologue of Dragonmount. But this prologue isn't Dragonmount, is it? No, it is. Whoops. That's very strange. There's a whole chapter. There's a whole chapter inserted in the front. If people know Wheel of Time, and this is not big news, that's funny to me, because that's really strange that they would change things like that. But as a comparison, let me go back to the front of the Dragonmount chapter heading. So, old book. Whoa. Why in the world am I getting stuff popping up? We've got here on the old version of the book some pretty decent margins. Kind of a space, almost a space and a half between the words drop cap. Yeah, the way most of it is handled is all pretty the same, except that margin. To compare against that, this is the new version. It's got a much tighter margin to the edge of the page. It's unusual. It almost feels like it's about to get cut off. Yeah, the distance between the page number 29 and the edge of the page is kind of scary to me. I'd be worried of it getting cut off if the binding was just a little off. There's some quotes, and then the front map. There's the map in this one. Prologue. After the prologue. The two quotes, and then the map. The differences in the map are just something immediately apparent here. There's no border to the old version, but there is on the new one. I don't know if you can see that too well. I'm trying to work with fewer hands than I need. There's a border around the map in this edition, which is kind of nice. Feels more like a proper map. The printing is pretty clear. That's always something I like to check out on books, is how well printed the finer details of images are, if there are images. There's a Wheel of Time logo in the corner of this map, which I'm not sure exists in older editions. See if I can find it. Oh, well, the Chapter 2 image for the Ravens is the same ravens being used for the Ravens prologue in this book, in the new edition. Oh, yeah. Actually, no, this is a completely different map. It's a map of the same stuff, but they are definitely by different people, I'm going to guess. Well, there is an Eye of the World logo here. Yeah, they got someone to redo it, or maybe it was the same person that did it, but they did it again. The newer version is more artistic in terms of the presentation. There's more script, more exaggerated, what do you want to say, like the way the names are written are more exaggerated with fancy curves and filigrees and things like that. It's probably... And there's a second map, which is not in the other one. Looks like it's a map of the two rivers, Iman's Field, Terran Ferry. So locations around the beginning, the early part of the book. Chapter 1 is an empty road. I want to see if the Chapter 2 image is still the same, if it reuses those ravens or not. It does. So I imagine, then, that most of the rest of this is all going to be the same style of printing here. You know what it actually looks like? Some of the margins actually close in a little bit as you get further into the book. Maybe. I might be wrong on that. Either way, it's probably not... This is a cheaper printing, obviously. Oh, yeah, there's definitely some variance in how close the margins get to the edge of the page from one place to another, because there's a lot more distance from the margin to the page on this page here than on this one. I assume that's standard for pretty much any paperback. This is the closest analysis I've ever done of a paperback book before, but it kind of calls for it. At the end, we have an about the author, which is definitely going to be different because if that one's printed in 1990, Robert Jordan was still very much alive, and he passed away in September of 2007. So this has a full paragraph on his life, all in hindsight. A little bit of my corner is kind of curled there. I don't remember doing that. And then on the back we have an ad for Wheel of Time on audio. There's definitely some stuff that wouldn't have happened in 1990. Not with earbuds. Would have been cassette tapes. Or maybe CDs eventually. There's a nice picture of the author right here at the end of the book. I don't want to open up the spine too much, but yeah. He lived from 1948 to 2007. Native of South Carolina, etc., etc. yeah, so that's Eye of the World. I am hoping to finish it in this edition, even though I really like old books and the smell of old books. I've been really excited to get these books and read without having to borrow it. Just for a quick look-see at these others. Oh, that's nice. So that the raised printing on the front of this one is red, and it's reflective. The cover itself is pretty matte, but the letters themselves are reflective. My lighting is probably not very good for that. Oh, there's a bit of the glint. But yeah. The actual background image here is just a close-up on the snake eating its tail part of the center of the Wheel of Time logo. The rest of it is all just solid color. I would describe this color as like a bluer teal and then a darker spine. Whereas on The Great Hunt, the whole logo is kind of centered and large, coming off the edges of the book there. The Prime Video logo being a lot more prominent than it was way down on the bottom on this one. And there's no change from the front to the side to the back. It's all the same. It's all the same image. It's kind of like a granite texture, a gray type of stone. And then the third book, which I am imagining will take me a long time to get to unless I really pick up my reading pace, is red with the same silver raised lettering, making that Prime Video logo pop even more. The lowered center logo. Everything written on the backs of these is all the same. I just really like the purple raised lettering on that. It looks really nice. And this is silver with some white lettering on the spine, because the raised stuff is only on the front. I'm going to put this box set back together and open the other one, because I bought the second set as well. I wasn't going to go that gung-ho and burden my own to-be-read pile with another box set. This is already a lot more than I think I'm going to read for a long time. But yeah, there it is, all reassembled again. Green, gray, and red. Greenish blue, I guess. Gray and red. Maybe an orangish red, depending on who you are. Then for this box set, we've got The Shadow Rising, The Fires of Heaven, and The Lord of Chaos. These titles mean nothing to me, because I am not that far in, obviously. I'm very curious as to the way that the Amazon series ended the first season, how far into the second book they were going, or if they just ended stuff with the end of the first book. The box set itself is purple instead of like a dark blue, like a navy. You can see the logo in there. That's kind of the theme for the art, is just that logo in solid color, so it's very minimalist. A lot of the same stuff being said on all sides. A little bit of damage here from shipping, but it's paperback, I'm not that concerned. You just kind of wish either the carriers or the actual warehouse people would take a little better care of it. See, The Dragon Reborn. Oh, which one? Fourth one. Oh, sorry, Shadow Rising. Yeah, Shadow Rising is what I've got. This is a dark blue with another portion of the logo. Same logo as all the other books. Right on the front there. Almost invisible Prime logo. The raised lettering is like a brass-ish. It's almost like a copper or bronze. Might be more appropriate to say. It looks like all of these books are shorter than the first book, which is really unusual to me. Most fantasy books that I've encountered are fantasy series. What are you eating? Hey. My dog's making funny noises. Most of the fantasy series that I've encountered usually have some kind of progression in thickness, or it starts smaller and it gets bigger. This one seems to be kind of all over the place, with all the books being several hundred pages, but the first one being noticeably thicker than the others. I mean, if you doubt me, Eye of the World is the first one here. That looks a lot thicker than the other two to me. I'm not about to pull them back out and check page count, but I have the old one here. And that ends at a little over 800 pages. And the Shadow Rising, never mind. Shadow Rising reaches over 1,000, but that's I should check the page count of the original, or the newer version. The newer version ends, oh wow, sure enough, 850-ish, so it's about 50 pages longer than the old paperback, but for some reason this book is actually significantly longer, even though it doesn't look thicker. Or maybe I'm just crazy. It actually looks like it's about the same thickness from one to the other. No, it's less thick. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's less thick, but there are more pages. 200 more pages. Maybe there's less, the same amount of front matter. Table of contents. It's very strange. The same map in all of the books, it looks like. Not that I've opened them all up. This might be thinner paper, perhaps, but somehow that's over 1,000 pages. It does not look like it. Weird. The Fires of Heaven, next, yellow. Going back to the red for the print here. It is unusually, well, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I keep thinking I'm noticing things and I'm really not. The fact that there's the and the of in italics because they're, non-capitalized words in titles sticks out more than it does because there's two words instead of just the one. I guess the Eye of the World has three, but that's me just not paying attention, I suppose. Then the sixth book would get me almost halfway through the whole series. In red, very bright red, with that's a pretty clear silver. It might be a tiny bit bronzy. The Lord of Chaos. Wondering how many pages this one is. Yeah, it says it's over 1,000. Fires of Heaven is not 1,000. It's just over 920. But there it is. That's the first 6 books in the Wheel of Time for this edition of the Wheel of Time, anyway. I haven't actually seen what the covers look like of the other, of the old edition, the old paperback mass market. That's the definite thing you're missing with buying newer minimalist covers, because they're so much more popular today, is you're not going to get full artwork like this. And see who does the cover here. Well, there's even artwork on the inside spread there. That is, looks like Lan and Moraine coming into the two rivers. Well, there's someone else with them, so it might be a little later. pages are about to fall out of the spine here. Let's see. Cover art by Daryl Sweet. Maps by John M. Ford and Thomas Canty. Interior illustrations by Matthew C. Nielsen. So Matthew C. Nielsen's illustrations inside at the chapter headings are all the same in both versions. Those have not changed. But maps by John M. Ford and Thomas Canty have to be different, I'm going to guess. Oh, there is that second map. So that second map is unchanged. I've just never looked at that second map. I don't know. But I want to see who did the map in the original, or I keep saying the original, in the new one. Because I believe it was a female name. The map here, accolades, more front matter, title page. Maps by Alyssa Mitchell and Thomas Canty. Oh, so Thomas Canty's still involved. And then Matthew C. Nielsen again for the middle illustrations. So yeah, the first 2 box sets of the Wheel of Time. I would have totally, if I had the money, or if I felt it reasonable to spend the money, I would have bought what I have seen in more recent videos by Daniel Green, the booktuber. He has a full box set of the entire series, and there's like a image that comes together when you look at all of it. It says the Wheel of Time all across the whole thing, and it's really impressive. Yeah, these are list price is $32.97 on the sticker on the bottom here, but like they're selling them for $16 or $17. It says slipcase art by Sam Weber. Same art that's on the covers of the books. I have a feeling that 14-book set would have been way more money than I was willing to spend, and it might have actually been a more premium than any sort of mass market. Probably a full-on trade paperback, but it didn't look like in the video that it was hardcover. I don't spend that much money on hardcovers, but that does transition me to another point. I am officially in production of the hardcover version of my book, The Wheel of Time. I did not write The Wheel of Time. Withered Kingdom. Been saying the wrong title too much. Withered Kingdom. I am currently going over the tedious act. Tedious, but kind of exciting in a way. Act of taking the original typesetting for the paperback version, which is when you do Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, it's all, instead of PDF or, Adobe files, which are the standard for the industry, it's all done through Microsoft Word, which does not have the greatest typesetting tools. They just kind of give you a document with, what do you call it? Some of the formatting done, like the margins are done, and they have the margins set so that pages on the left have a bigger margin away from the spine, and pages on the right have a bigger margin away from the spine. And they have some of the page numbering set up, and the header information is also set up differently, or is also preset for you. You still have to edit and things, and you have to get the page numbers right for your table of contents. They have the cells set up. It's an invisible kind of like mini Excel spreadsheet set into the document, and then you have to put in the chapter number, the chapter title, and the number of the page that it shows up on. But because it's not smart in any way, you have to finish everything before you put in those numbers, because otherwise you're going to keep resetting those numbers as every time you change formatting in the chapters themselves. Because if you're like, oh, I don't want single spacing, I want page and a half spacing, that's going to change the page numbers for everything that you have all done. So you would have to go back to your table of contents and change the numbers. The numbers do not respond to the changes that you make. You have to finish everything else, and then the last thing that you need to do is enter those numbers in. So right now I'm mostly copying and pasting the content from the paperback book and putting it into into the new file. And I'm making some changes here and there to improve the readability. I can't really change the text much, but little tweaks to punctuation, adding drop caps, which if you don't know what a drop cap is, that's when you've got a really big letter at the beginning of a title. You've probably seen it before, or not at the beginning of a title, at the beginning of a block of text or a chapter, like that T there. I'm adding drop caps. I am thinking about adding bigger Roman numerals to the hey George, I'll give you a digital wave here. Yeah, my hardcover version of my book, I am working on the typesetting, so that can be out in print, and so people can buy that real soon. When that's when I have all of that done, it's going to take a little bit to get some copies printed, but I'm going to set up everything so that I can sell it directly through my Facebook page, sell it on my my personal website, where I host my blog. I'll add a shop page on there, maybe even print some like stickers and other fun things that I can include with copies. And that way I can sign them for people who live nowhere near me and mail them out to people. That will mean I will have to charge shipping, but people might be willing to pay shipping to get a signed copy if they know me, or if they just, like having signed copies. I only own one signed copy of a book. When I was in college in Idaho, I went with my roommates to Idaho Falls, which is kind of a bigger city than the city Rexburg, where my university was. We would go out to Idaho Falls, and we visited the mall there, and that mall had a Barnes & Noble. And in that Barnes & Noble, there was Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. It had a big sticker on the front, said signed copy. And I looked in, and sure enough, he had come into that store and signed a bunch, and they probably put stickers on them to notify of that. So I bought it. It didn't cost any more. Didn't cost, anything additional, but there was no shipping involved. I just walked into the store, picked it up, bought it, and that's officially my first signed copy of something that was not written by me or someone I know very personally. I think I have a book of poetry that was written by my friend Chris. I think he signed that. If he didn't, I'll have to get a signature, because why wouldn't I, So, yeah, I don't know exactly when it will be done, but I'm hoping by the end of next month, or hopefully much earlier, I will have the hardcover version of Withered Kingdom finished. I am a little less than halfway through inserting all of the chapters. It is kind of tedious work because I have to basically take the raw text. I can't take any formatting, because if I put the formatting in, it's going to try to put in pages that are paperback size instead of hardcover size. So that's an issue. That kind of slows things down. So I have to take the raw text, no formatting, put it in, format it the way I want for the indents, for the margins. Or no, the margins is kind of done, but the indents I have to do myself. And I am reading through and I am decapitalizing some titles that I used. Not the titles of chapters, but there are times when I would just say like captain without the name of the captain next to it, or emperor when I'm just referring to the emperor or the king without their last name at the end. Technically, you're not supposed to capitalize the K in king, or the E in emperor, or the C in captain, or the G in general. So I have to go back through the text and lowercase those and make sure the ones that need to be capitalized are. So if I talk about General Nova, I'll capitalize that G, just so it looks congruent with the capitalization for the proper name of Nova. Let's see what else. I'm thinking of changing the way the chapter heading titles look completely. I'm not sure if they'll print the way I want them to, but I'm giving it a shot, and we'll see if Amazon rejects it or not. Hopefully, I might actually be able to put some art in the hardcover version. Character art for Nova and Gia. Gia being the main character, and Nova just being a more probably interesting character to look at, just because he's a giant, and because I play as that same character in Dungeons and Dragons a lot, and have for years, I have a more fleshed out image of what he looks like in my mind, even though he's not the main character. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining. I was just saying to the live stream, if I haven't had you sign your poetry book, you need to sign my copy of your poetry book if you haven't. Anyway, hardcover version of Withered Kingdom is coming out soon. Like I said a little bit before, I'm almost halfway done with inserting all of the text, and I've got to do the page numbers, not only the page numbers at the ends of each page. I need to make sure those are all correct. I also have to go back and insert all of the page numbers in the table of contents correctly, or it'll look real goofy. I know the very, very first version, the pre-production version, my review copies for Withered Kingdom had some wrong page numbers because it ended up printing in a slightly different format than what I expected. So the first couple copies of the hardcover that come out might end up being wrong. So be prepared for that, I suppose. I know the hardcovers that Amazon produces, which I'm going through Amazon. I don't want to trouble myself with anyone else because Amazon is the biggest distributor of books in the world, I'm sure. I'm not going to look that up. I just can't imagine anyone distributes more books than them. I know Ingram is huge for physical books, but gosh, with how many books Amazon prints on their own now, I can't help but imagine that Amazon is the largest book distributor, and they already have their own distribution channel with all of the different carriers, and the U.S. Postal Service being very closely tied now to Amazon. Hello! Another cat has joined us. He can be noisy sometimes, so if you hear meowing, that's him. It's Ashy, my black cat with 3 legs. Hey, Clint, nice to see you, even if I'm not seeing you physically. Yeah, hardcover version of Withered Kingdom coming out very soon. I wish I had an example of what the books look like. Actually, I will grab my Edgar Allan Poe book to kind of show you a little bit of what it looks like. It's not going to look like this, but for an example, most of the time when you get a hardcover, the style has been to have a dust jacket like this on the front, and then underneath a more hard, like a cardboard cover with sometimes printing and filigree and words, and sometimes just like a logo and then a name on the side. But it's actually going to look more like this, where there's no dust jacket on it. Amazon does not produce dust jackets for their books, which there are other independent publisher facilitators like Create Space, or is that, no, Create Space is what Amazon bought. What is it called? Ingram Spark. So the Ingram, the like normal bookstore distributor company that handles most of all bookstores, they do one with a dust jacket. A lot of people like dust jackets just because obviously they keep things protected, but here where you can actually see the the crease in the printing itself. That is more of how Amazon does things. They also have, I believe, the stitching. You can see maybe there. See if I can get right up to the camera with it. See how there's a stitching back there for the spine. That means that the pages are actually sewn together and not just glued. Less premium versions of hardcovers are sometimes just glued instead of sewn. Sewn helps them lie a little flatter when you open them up, and the spine just lasts longer. There's less concern if you were to hold it like this. Keeps things flat. Keeps the spine is flat. Hey, Brendan, sorry. Weave. The binding stays flat even if it's hanging by its own weight, or it's supporting its own weight. It stays flat because it's all sewn together. So a hardcover more like this, smaller than this size, I don't remember which dimension I chose, but Withered Kingdom as a hardcover is going to look more like this. The one major downside a lot of people point out to the dust jacket free way of printing is that the corners can get kind of bashed in. You can kind of see the rippling on the corner on the top of the spine of this Edgar Allan Poe collection. That rippling is just from things hitting it or whatever. So those do show up more, but one of the advantages, like going back to advantages of printing without a dust cover. Oh, here's a corner that's all bashed up as well. That's kind of what I'm talking about. That'll happen pretty easy with most dust jacket free printed hardcovers. But the advantage is it's a lot easier to get the printing on the actual hardcover. Because sometimes older hardcovers especially will not print on the cover itself. They'll just print on the spine, the name, or the title and the name, or reversed. So yeah, there's a lot of details in the printing industry that a lot of people don't really think about. But yeah, it would look a lot more like this when it's ready. I'm thinking I might potentially try to change what the cover art looks like, and I might also create a different edition for the paperback that has the art that I am commissioning in it, because that I think would be really neat. My dog is getting mad at my cat for existing, which my dog always does. She just gets mad for no reason. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of dust jackets myself. I know there are people who are, some people very passionate about them. I just feel like they get in the way. I didn't even know that it was a thing, that most people who read hardcover books frequently always take their dust jacket off before reading and just store the dust jacket on the shelf or whatever. I've never done that. I just, like when I bought the first Harry Potter book I owned was the last Harry Potter book. I borrowed all of the other ones before the last one came out, and that was the only one I was waiting for. I hadn't read any of them until after the sixth one came out. But when the sixth one came out, I was reading maybe the fifth and sixth. I think the fifth and sixth Harry Potter books that I read, or the fifth and sixth volumes, Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince, I'm pretty sure I borrowed those as hardcovers, and I never took the dust jacket off, except to like look on the underside. I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering correctly, the American version of The Deathly Hallows, the seventh book, is printed underneath the dust jacket, which I suppose helps with advertising if you're reading on the bus or somewhere public in a library and you have taken the dust jacket off. There's not really a lot of advertising space if you don't print something on the cover. But yeah, no dust jacket with the Amazon versions. I have heard a lot of good reviews. I've watched some videos on the internet of people talking about how they feel about their book being put into Amazon's hardcover version. Most people like it. As long as you're not super attached to having dust jackets, most people really feel like it's a high quality printing. And use pretty good paper. I know a change from the paperbacks that I have been doing is I'm going to be using, what do you call it? Cream paper? Cream colored paper instead of pure white paper, or the bright white. Those are the only two options you get with Kindle Direct Publishing. Cream is usually used for fiction, which I didn't know. I don't know why I didn't know that. I've read plenty of both fiction and nonfiction books, but I discovered through doing some research for preparing for the hardcover version of Withered Kingdom that there's a lot of, I should just say the standard for fantasy and science fiction and all kinds of fiction books is to use cream, just because they tend to be longer books and they're less technical. Illustrations are more for decoration than instruction. Like, for example, if you had a dictionary, you would probably use white, like the whitest paper you could, so that way the ink stands out as clear as possible. Stuff like self-help books or like business books, things like that are usually printed on white. This Edgar Allan Poe collection that I've been using as an example does use a solid white. That's very clear. And the Wheel of Time books that I have been looking at, I believe, are on a cream. Yeah, it's not white, that's for sure. And this is brand new, but like you probably can't see very well here on my phone, but that's not white. That's not a pure white paper. It's not even like a 93 white. It's a little more dull. And the tooth of the paper, which is the term for like how rough it is a little bit rough, which does help in turning the pages. You get a little more tactile experience grabbing that edge of the paper and turning the page. But yeah. There's actually a little variance in the color of the paper in this version or this copy. You can tell there's like a stripe that's just ever so slightly grayer than the rest. I don't know how to make it show up better. I don't know if that helps more or less, but it's like kind of right in the middle here. A little bit of the pages are grayer. I don't think that's... No, that's definitely happening in the other books. It's very subtle, and most people probably wouldn't notice it, but being that I'm here doing an unboxing and trying to have the most critical eye that I can, I definitely noticed it. So, I also didn't see if it said that that was acid-free paper, and I'm not 100% sure if Amazon's printing is on acid-free paper. I know my first book was acid-free. They made a very big deal of telling everyone that they were printing on acid-free paper, so it doesn't yellow. But if the paper is already going to be a cream color to begin with, I mean, yellowing adds some character. I mean, even acid-free paper is still going to yellow over time. It's just going to take a lot longer to do it. But, yeah, thanks everyone for coming in and watching this live stream. I hope your Friday night isn't too boring, or if it is kind of boring, that it's at least relaxing for you. So, Withered Kingdom, my fantasy novel, will be my first fantasy novel of its series. I have more coming in the future. Will be on hardcover. It's already on paperback and Kindle. It'll be on hardcover very soon. I'm hoping by the end of next month. Sometimes Amazon's approval process is a complete shot in the dark. You don't always know. But as things stand right now, by the end of next month, so that gives me about a month, because it's, what, the 29th? Something doesn't show on my watch. It's near the end of the month already, so maybe in 2 weeks at soonest I'll get it all done. I want to use tonight and the weekend to finish all the typesetting. Dog bumping my camera here. And then when all that's done, I'll have it out. And I will set up everything for everyone to be able to buy the book directly from me and through any venue that I can possibly set up. Because I'm really hoping on the success of a hardcover version, that it would be something people are more interested in. I haven't had a ton of success selling the paperback just because my full-time jobs have kind of been in flux, making it difficult with training for new work and setting up a home office and things like that. I haven't had a lot of opportunity to do much selling, but at this point in time, that's what I am dedicating most of my time to. So, if you're interested in the book, please let me know. Leave a comment here on this video, or on any post that I make. Just say, hey, I want to buy your book. I'll put your name down. I might not have a copy available right away. Most of the copies that I have for the paperback right now, I have prepared to put them into little libraries here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, so people can check them out. And then I have my business card stuck in there that tells people to buy it from my website if they want to have it for themselves. But when I have the hardcover, I want to print more copies of it. As soon as it's ready, I want to print as many copies of it as I can and sell it and get the ball rolling on making some real money selling books. It's something I've been preparing for a long time and working toward. I think a lot more people will buy hardcover. If that's you, please let me know. Even if you got to direct message me because you don't want to have a public comment, do it. Don't be afraid. Either on this or on my my author page, Nathan T. Orgel Author, on Facebook. My Instagram, I think, is just nathan.orgel. My Twitter is, I think, at nathan.orgel. I'm not 100% sure. Last name Orgill. My WordPress website is https://phyronianchronicle.com. That's PHRYONIANCHRONICLE.com. And that's where my blog is hosted. And there are links to the Amazon page where you can buy my book on there. And there's more blog content coming now that I have more time with the way things are situated in my life. I'll be posting probably fewer blog posts, but longer ones, and doing more to share them places. If you don't have money to buy my book right now, you can still do me a huge favor and help an independent author out for free by just sharing all the posts that I make. Anything that shows up on my blog, anything that I share from my Nathan T. Orgel Author profile on Facebook. You can follow that right now. Thinking of even making a group to kind of let people know when stuff comes out and how to share it. Because the more reacts I get, the more tweets I get, the more subscribes I get, the more follows, everything, every interaction that you can possibly make on every social media platform helps the algorithm for that platform make my book reach more of an audience, which is huge for me. The more exposure, the more people are potentially out there to buy it, and that's I would love for that to be my main income. That's a dream. That's a big dream to look forward to. But each of you has a bit of a role in helping me achieve that. And if you have if you have a book, especially, or if you have your own personal business or even an Etsy store, anything like that, if you want me to share it, just let me know, and I will do what I can to help further your dream, at least, while it's practical to do so. because, we're here to help each other out, I think, on the earth in general. If I were as wealthy and successful as someone like Brandon Sanderson right now, I wouldn't be able to promise that I could follow for follow, or share every time I see someone else's small business or startup or book or whatever. I would be too busy with my own stuff and too big to, we would be in different leagues. But while I'm in the league of most people starting businesses, a lot of people have started businesses since COVID. A lot of people have been writing books since COVID. But if you've written a book and you want to share any advertising, share your online store for your craft or whatever kind of business you've got, let me know. Even tag me and stuff if you want. Tag me in comments and I'll share it around. That way we can all help each other. Just, give me likes, comments, follows, retweets, reviews, or whatever you want to do. That would be hugely helpful to me. As things are, I've spent just about as much talking as I have going over the books that I bought, that are the title of the unboxing. If you haven't read Wheel of Time, I'm enjoying it. I like the book more on standard than I like the TV show. The TV show was still good, but I feel like turning this into eight episodes was not a good idea. I think they should have done 13 or more episodes or split this into 2 seasons, because some of my favorite scenes in this book have been completely left out and ignored. Even Brandon Sanderson, who finished the Wheel of Time series after Robert Jordan died, said that he feels like the prologue that's in the front of this book is one of the best prologues in all of fiction. And it is. It is seriously amazing. It's just completely mind-blowing. And it's I don't know, stupid that it wasn't included in the streaming version, or the streaming television show. It kind of is later on, but it's also very different. But the prologue to this hits hard. If you ever want to read The Wheel of Time, Eye of the World has one of the best, hardest hitting prologues I've ever read. And as far as I can see, the Eye of the World for the new version, the box set, doesn't get rid of it, but it buries it with another prologue called Ravens, which I don't know why you would do that. I feel like you're burying the lead. There's not a lot of reason to take what's already one of the most stellar openings ever and then put a chapter in front of it. It makes no sense to me. But I'm going to check that out. I will read the newer version of the book from here on out, and maybe do a review after I'm done, because it'll be spoilery if I do, but a lot of the there's so much stuff included in the book that isn't in the streaming series. And the streaming series handles things pretty well after about 3 episodes in. Episodes like 4, 5, and 6 are like amazing, firing on all cylinders. And then 7 and 8, maybe not the best, but still good, at least. I don't know. This is me rambling about the Wheel of Time. I'm becoming one of those booktubers that just kind of talks about Wheel of Time all the time. But it's been a big series for a lot of people. It's been very important and impactful to a lot of people. And it's probably going to be that for me too, as soon as I get through it. That'll take a long time, because I'm not a fast reader. But, yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to end this live stream now. If you want to follow my Twitch, I believe it is Warrior Vetrus, WARRIORVETRUS, VETRUS. People think I'm saying B, like the letter B. I don't know, sign language for it, but people think I'm saying B, like Vetrus. No, Vetrus, VETRUS. WARRIORVETRUS. Should be my Twitch name. If it's wrong, I'm terrible. But yeah, when I'm going to use more time to live stream reading the classics. I have a series on there called Nate Reads the Classics, and it should be something I can put a lot more time into, at least for a couple weeks, and can look forward to that. My plan is to start 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne, because it's old enough to be in the public domain and no one can get me in trouble for reading it, because it's legal for anyone to read it for any reason, instead of, having to pay money for reading it on a live stream like a newer book would be. I already read The Time Machine, not The Wheel of Time, but The Time Machine, on Nate Reads the Classics. So if you want to go on my YouTube page, which is Nathan T. Orgel, author, Nathan T. Orgel, author, I have all of my live streams that I've done, I put up on there, including my Twitch streams for The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. Was a much shorter story than 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but I'm gonna take a stab at Jules Verne and see how it goes. Again, thanks everyone for watching. Buy my book if you can. If you can't, tell people about it. Tell people that you know someone who wrote a book and that it's really cool. Even if you've never read it before, just at least get some more eyes on my book. I would hugely appreciate it. Anyway, thanks. Have a good Friday night, everybody. See you in the next live stream or video.